Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fourth episode of this year's PAM Masterclass training series. I'm Fazil, I'll be your host. I'm joined by Melba, who is our in-house product expert, to guide you through this session. In this session, we will be talking about how you can enhance your PEDM strategy with PAM360's advanced privilege elevation controls, including endpoint privilege management. Before we get into the actual session, a couple of housekeeping rules. All attendees will be on listen-only mode by default. If you have any questions, drop them in the Q&A panel, and we'll get back to you at the end of the session in a separate Q&A time period. The session recording will be sent to all attendees in a couple of days. If you have any further questions or feedback for us, you can always email us at hello-pam360@manageengine.com. Melba, over to you.
Thank you, Faz, for the warm welcome. I'm really excited to be part of this masterclass series once again. So in this episode, this is episode four of the masterclass series, where we will be talking about how you can enhance your PEDM strategy with PAM360's advanced privilege elevation control. So let me start off with a quick introduction. My name is Melba Rajan. I'm one of the senior product specialists here at Manage Engine PAM360. So the previous masterclass session, which is episode 3, is more into weaving privilege elevation controls into your access management routines, where it's been discussed how it's discussed about all the PEDM controls. So right from access control workflow, where user can request and how user can gain privilege access by request release workflows, how you can achieve just-in-time elevation by elevating the admin privileges to local security groups and AD security groups with help of just-in-time elevation, followed by self-service privilege elevation and command control, where we can whitelist and blacklist commands and allow users to a standard user to execute only the specific set of commands from the allow list, and how he can elevate it with a pseudo privilege. So these are the PDM controls that was discussed in the previous masterclass. And in this masterclass, we'll be talking more about the advanced controls, starting off with application control. So with the help of application control, you can whitelist the applications and you can blocklist the applications, and how you can efficiently handle unmanaged applications in your environment. By doing so, how you can strengthen the security posture. So this will also help you to improve the overall threat detection and response capabilities. And they will also be I will also be demonstrating few use cases, use case scenarios, and showcasing how you can achieve that with the application control, and how you can implement the least privilege by managing the end user rights on the endpoints, and how you can just in time elevate the applications with advanced elevation control. So these are the set of controls that we're going to talk about in this masterclass. So this is one part of the masterclass, and the second part we'll also be discussing more about the policy-based access control. So without any further delays, let's just dive deep into the application. So the ongoing technological advancement, it has led users to depend on the applications even for a smallest task. Right. So lots of applications are getting created every minute. So due to this increase in demand, vendors also relying on any open source code to build their applications. So attackers also have started using this as a vantage point, and they started inserting their own backdoors into this open source code so that they can easily launch malware. So enterprises must take caution to ensure that the applications allowed into their network cannot be exploited to an attack. So if an organization just only depends upon its, any antivirus software, let's say, so it's very impossible for an enterprise to withstand the next major exploit. So how you can achieve this? How Manage Engine PAM360's advanced elevation control help you to overcome this crisis? So it start off with application discovery. So the first step is discovering the applications that are installed in your network. Let me just go back to the application. Just log to my VM. So under privilege elevation, I just have to go into the application control. So in order to make use of this functionality, you need PAM to be integrated with Manage Engine's native access application control plus, and it requires a set of configurations to be made. The application is already configured for the demo. Let's just start with discovering the applications. So when a user is as an employee joins the organization, the first step of a sysadministrator to deploy the agents in all the endpoints. So once the agents are deployed, the applications will be discovered. All the applications will be discovered, and post which the agents will help in monitoring and controlling the applications running on the servers, and also it help in enforcing various application policies, preventing unauthorized softwares to be installed, and also provide insights how the application is getting used, what are the patterns. This way you can have a centralized application management and have a security across your framework. So once the agents are deployed in the endpoints, it will be listed here under the computers list. So this is one of the machines where I have deployed the agent. And if you see a green box here, which means indicates that the agent is active, alive, and running. So once the agents are deployed, the resources will be automatically visible under the computers dashboard, and then you can create a group where you can collect or segregate the endpoints, and you can create a custom group. So once it is done, the next step is to create application groups. So application groups are nothing but this is where you create allow list and block list of applications. So first, once the endpoint agents are deployed, it will discover all the applications. So from all the the discovered applications, you will create allow list and block list. So allow listing is nothing but you create a list of trusted applications and allow those apps to run on the endpoints. So it just not end with malware protection here. It also helps you to streamline your inventory management because enterprises normally grant the users to have access to all the applications, even though if they are not relevant to the user's role or responsibilities. So in such cases, users end up having several unused applications running on their devices. Not only these applications consume storage space, but also it's very tedious for an admin to keep on tracking it, whether the license is up to date or whether the patches has been deployed properly in order to avoid vulnerabilities. So with the help of this application allow list, you can solve these issues where the users will be allowed access only to the specific applications based on their requirement. So when you create a group, there are two ways. One is you can create an allow list, and while creating an allow list, it can be categorized based on various policies. First is a vendor, trusted vendor. So trusting a software, a vendor without a valid SSL certificate or digital certificate is risky, right? So only the authorized vendors of the installed software will be displayed to you here. And from here, you can choose and add it to the allow list. And the next is product name. So if you want the applications from the same applications from the same vendor, then you can make use of this option. You can allow list the applications from the same vendor. You can go with this, or you can go with verified executable, because applications, certain applications are made with comes with multiple executable files. The vendors are assigning certain digital certificates to prove the authenticity of these executables. So all these verified executable files will be displayed to you here, and from here you can just choose which exe that you would like to be allowed you want to allow list. You have to be very careful when it comes to selecting this executable, because even if any of this executable is tampered with, or if doesn't have any proper digital certificate or any SL certificate, or even the exes that's been will be applied to the applications in the form of updates, will also be will not be allowed to run if they are not allowed listed. And the next option is file hash. So this is also one of the more secure policy. So as it based on the hash value of the application. So all the executable files will be displayed to you. You can just choose the files that you wish to allow list. Even a minor changes to these executables, like a version change or any changes has been made, the hash value will be changed, meaning that it will be removed instantly from the allow list and moved to the blocked list. And the next is folder path, which is the easiest way where you can collect all the trusted applications to a path, and you can provide the path here. And store apps, you also have options to discover the applications from Windows Store. You can just choose the applications that you would like to allow list, and from this list. And apart from this, we also have a custom rule, so which is nothing but this will give you a freedom to decide what happens if the executable files is not yet installed in the application, right? So this way you can just select, add the vendor name, choose one of the policies, and you can just add the executable file, and they will be automatically allow listed once they are discovered newly in the endpoint. So this is all about application allow listing. I have already created an allow list, and I have chosen 2 applications, Google Chrome and Putty, to be allow listed on the particular server. And the next is a blocked list. So similar to this, a block listing will help you prevent certain applications or executables from running in the in a network. So if the application allow listing is a threat prevention, then we can say that application block listing is more like a damage control, because APTs, zero-day attacks, any known malware intrusions can be prohibited, tackled with the help of this application block listing, because a 0-day and APTs usually comes without a fix, right? And with the help of application block listing, you will no longer have to wait around for the patches while the vulnerability is still there in your network. So you can just instantly prohibit the applications, and from and then it will be, all the applications will be blocklisted from running until a fix arises. So here, likewise, you can blocklist the applications based on vendor, product name, folder path, and also we have options to select the block list, select the applications for block list using executable and hash value. So if one of these executables are compromised by the malware, it will be blocked immediately without affecting the other executables of the same application. And we also have custom policies. So if an application isn't currently installed, it will not be discovered by the agent. So using this policy, the executables that you want to block in the future can be added to this list, and once they're discovered, they will be automatically moved to the blocked list. So it doesn't just stop right there, allow listing and block listing. We also have another option, which is a child process control. So processes that can create another process is called a parent process, and the newly created process is called child process. Normally, if you take any traditional application control, it will have only controls that can be exercised on a parent process, but the child process will be still like a gray area, right? So, but we have seen various instances where a malicious child processes is one of the very common way to exploit the parent application. So for instance, there's a software developer who is using an IDE, and he needs Visual Studio for one of his project that he is doing. So the sysadmins, when they deploy the child processes, they will not be aware of how they can exert control on all the child processes. Even if they do, it will be very impossible for them to select each and every extension the processes manually. So this can be overcome with the help of PAM360's PEDM capability. So it also comes as a part of application control, where you can just go ahead and browse for all the child processes that you would like to allow to run in the user machines. The rest of the child processes will be blocked. They will be added to the block list. All right. So next step is to deploy the policy. So once you you have onboarded the agents, you have deployed the agents, and those machines are onboarded into the application, right? And you have created a custom group, and also you have created application groups where you have allow listed and block listed the application. The next part is policy deployment, where you correlate them. So what type of allow list and block list you have to apply on what user machine. So that's what you're going to do in this deploy policy. So you can just choose associate group. Here you can just specify, just going to choose one which I have already created for a better understanding. So here I have created a group, and I have chosen all computer groups, which is basically all the Windows machines or all the machines in which agent is running. And I have associated the application groups, and I have chosen both allow list and block listed applications. And the next is associate privileged application list, which I will revisit back so that you will have a better understanding of it. Let's just keep it as of now. And the next is audit mode and strict mode. So here I will explain, this is what we call it as flexibility chooser. So there are two different modes, and I'll just explain a simple scenario how you can choose one of the two modes. So now we have allow listed the applications, block listed the applications. Are we missing something out here? Definitely, right? So what about the unmanaged applications? So that is where the flexibility mode chooser comes in place, because unmanaged applications can open to multiple risks in an organization, right? So there are only two obvious approaches. One is you either allow list all the unmanaged applications, or either block list it. But as you are aware, enterprises nowadays are very keen in achieving the or enforcing the zero trust framework in every organizations. Of course, they're going to follow an option to block list all the unmanaged applications. This might help, but the amount of access request or amount of work that a security admin has to do in order to allow access to users, because as soon as you enforce a policy, allow list or block list, it's just gonna, the users can use only those applications. What about an application that is newly installed in the end user machine, which is a very critical application, and the user will not have access to it because it's not added to the allow list. So in order to overcome this, we have these two modes. The first one is the audit mode. So admins who have just begun their application control process can leverage this mode to get a clear picture of how they should build their application control framework. So in the beginning, the admin might not know what application users are using in their organization and how frequently they are using. So they can go with this audit mode, and all applications that you have added to the allow list and also the unmanaged applications will be allowed to run and will be accessible by the users. And also simultaneously a log generation will also be enabled. So the administrator can now monitor as long as he needed as a reference to know, as long as he needed those logs, and he can use that as a reference to know when to shift the application from the unmanaged application list to the allow list. So it's purely based upon the frequency, the pattern the users are using it, and the legitimacy of the application they use. So it's more like a learning phase. And the next one is strict mode. So by strict enforcement mode, only the applications that are allowed listed will be accessed by the end user. Unmanaged applications will not be accessible. So only applications that are part of the allow list can be used. If the user is trying to access any unmanaged applications, they'll be immediately notified that the use of this particular application is denied. So I have already deployed this policy. You can see the deployment status has reached 100%, which means that the policy is already in place. I'm just going to go ahead and showcase how the application allow list and block list benefit you in achieving application control. So let's just go to this group. So this is the server. I'm just going to go back to the resources tab. I'm going to go here. I'm going to launch a privileged session to this endpoint. And PT user is one of the least privileged user on the endpoint. He's not an administrator, just regular standard user. So just going to launch the connection. Before that, for a better understanding, let me just show you the applications that's been allowed and the application that are blocked. So the allowed applications are Chrome and P, and the blocked applications are Notepad++. And you can see there are a lot of unmanaged applications where you can see it from this list. So as a user, I have logged into the machine, all right, and I'm just gonna go here and I'm gonna access Notepad++, which is one of the blocked application. As you can see, immediately it will be notified that the application has been blocked. Contact your system administrator. Right, and if you take any unmanaged application, which is the SSMS console, is also a part of it. I'm just going to go ahead and try to access this. And you can see here the MS SQL SQL Server configuration, SSMS console is blocked. The access is denied. It's not blocked, but the access is denied because it's an unmanaged application, and I have enforced the strict mode, so it also comes under the block list. Simple as that. So now this is done. The next is let's just go into the privilege management part, which is very important. So here we're going to enforce the principle of least privilege. So one of the three pillars of zero trust is the principle of least privilege, and the concept mostly focuses on lowering the enterprise-wide privileges to a bare minimum to perform a routine task, but also not compromising on the productivity. So the first step in establishing the least privilege would be to identify where the privileges are distributed. So what you do is you have to discover all the endpoints along with all the local accounts and the domain accounts. This PAM already does with the help of privilege discovery functionality, where all the endpoints in your organization will be fetched: Windows, Linux, any network devices, and also the administrator domain AD domain accounts. And as soon as you discover them, then you can just remove the unnecessary admin rights, which has to be removed instantly. The local administrator and also the domain administrator account, if they are unnecessarily granted privilege, they must be removed instantly to ensure that the users don't have more privileges than what they require. All right. So the domain admin accounts often possesses admin rights all over the endpoints in the domain. And local admin accounts have complete authority over the computer in which they exist. So there are two aspects in achieving this least privilege. The first is removal of unnecessary administrator rights, local administrator rights, and maintaining the authorized individuals only as a standard user and elevating them to function as an administrator for a time limited access. So that is first case. And the second is administrators in general will have exclusive privileges to run certain applications with elevated privileges, right? So if a standard user has been assigned a task to run an application in elevated privilege, instead of elevating his account to be a local admin on that member server, with the help of privilege management, you can just elevate the application to run in the elevated mode for a specific period of time. So these are the two cases we're going to see in this privilege management section. So let's just go with the case one. So that will help you to reduce the attack surface, right, by removing the unnecessary local administrator accounts from the endpoints and elevate only the users to local security groups for a time-bound access. So I'm just going to take the same server again. So the first step is to remove the admin rights. So the machine that I'm going to take is the server where the ACP agent is installed. And I will select the server and remove the local admin accounts. So here the account has already been removed. That's why it's grayed out. And in addition to this, I have also added an exclusion policy where it should not remove this particular local account alone. So where admins can set up exclusion policy as well. And once it is done, this is how it looks like. So this is a normal user. I'll just show you from this login. So groups, administrator groups. So here only the local account that I have added under the exclusion policy is part of the local admin group. The rest of the users are not part of any administrator groups. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to elevate this local one user to be part of the local admin group for a specific period of time, where we have everything in place, access control, JIT in place. And once his task is done, he'll be automatically revoked from his privilege. So this is how you manage the end user admin rights in the endpoint with the help of privilege management. So the first step is I'm going to create a access control policy for the user. So I'm just going to go here, access control details. Sorry. Configure access control, and I have chosen the default admin as the authorized admin. And under privilege elevation, I am just selecting the administrator group as the local security group. So whenever I'm just going to elevate the local user, standard user, to be a local admin for a specific period of time. So that is a use case, and I'll just do save and activate. And once it is done, the local one account will be shared to a end user, which is the guest user, which I already shared it. Already logged in. Just back. Yes, I'm in now. So this is the server. So you can see the user, even if you take any third party or external users or internal users, he log into the application using one of the primary mode of authentication. He has to go through the two-factor authentication, which is mandatory. And post which he can only access the resources that's been shared with him with the help of the role-based access policy. And once it is shared, he just click on the server, and this is a local account that I'm gonna take control of. Gonna elevate to admin group. I'll request for control, and I'm gonna give a reason like need access to run a script and send. So once it's requested, I'll go back as the admin. I'll approve the request. Granted. All right, and approve. And once it is approved, go back as the end user. Refresh this. Check out. When I check out, it's gonna get elevated to the local admin group. So this is done now. I'll show you again. See if I need a refresh. There you go. The local one user has been elevated as a local to the local admin group on this endpoint. And now he can perform the operation that's been assigned to him. So now you can set up the time. Could be 30 minutes, 15 minutes, or 1 hour, whatever the time the admin needs. He can set the exclusive time access, and post which the session will be closed and the password will be rotated. So this way you can avoid having standing privileges. So I'm going to check in the password, which I no longer need. So it's done now. So if I go again and refresh this, it shouldn't be just this. See that DC8, so the local account has been removed from the group. So there is no manual intervention. You don't have to go to each and every server and manually remove all the local admin rights. With the help of the agent, it does all the work. All you have to do is make use of the JIT provided in PAM to elevate the user to be part of any local security group for a specific period of time. And also the parcel will be rotated. So this is the first use case. And the second one is how you can elevate the application. So you don't have to give the explicit access to all the the entire server. You just need to elevate only specific applications that needed to be done in an elevated mode. So in order to do that, so now imagine a standard user who needs to run an application that works only in administrator mode. So first step is you remove the admin rights, which is already done. And the second step is used to create a privileged application list. So in this privileged application list, you have to enable the option allowing the user to self-elevate the application to be run in an admin mode. So here, no admin accounts or any local admin accounts are associated to it. It's just OS level elevation. And so there are two options. One is all allowed applications or only specific applications. So all allowed applications, it comprises of both allow listed and unmanaged applications. If you choose specific applications, you just have to choose the applications that you would like the user to self-elevate. For instance, if you have allow listed 10 applications and assign that policy to the end user, the endpoint. And if you want the user to access only 5 applications in admin mode, then you can just choose a specific application and you can create a list. And now let's just go back to the deploy policy. And now I'll show you what this setting is all about. So in this deploy policy, you have already deployed the allow list and block list. In addition to that, you also have option associate privileged application list. So here we have created the application list and you have to select the option yes, and then you have to deploy again in case if you haven't done it yet. So this way, not only the allow applications will be allow listed applications are allowed in the endpoint, but also it will allow the standard user to self-elevate certain application to run in admin mode for a specific period of time. So specific period of time, how do you do that? You need some kind of a JIT to do that, right? So don't have to worry about it. We got it covered. We have just-in-time access as well. So this will help you with a temporarily provide access to the user on demand based on for a specific period of time. And here I have already created a policy. Let me just show you. And I have chosen the computer that I need this to be enforced. And also I have chosen a window. You can either go with fixed, starts from 1 hour till 5 days, or you can just go with the window between from to time. And there are two settings as well. So here, if you would like to allow self-elevate all the applications in the allowed list, and also to unmanaged applications, if you want the standard users to self-elevate them, then you can just choose the first option. I'm just going to go with the self-elevation of privileges. So only the defined allow listed applications can be self-elevated with admin mode for time basis. Now let's see how it can be done. So I'm just taking the same server again. So this is the end user, and he's just a standard user. And you can see here, right? So the Google updater, when I try to click on something, any other application, it just popping up the unmanaged application, and I can give a reason. So let's say test, and I can request for it. So once I request for it, the request will be received to the administrator. Under the dashboard, and it will be visible here. I'll just come back later to it so that get synced. So we have already seen how the notepad has been blocklisted, right? So I'm just gonna choose one of the unmanaged applications, which is SSMS. Just go here. All right. So with just-in-time elevation in place, and once you have configured the privilege application list, you can see an option called run as manage engine. So when you do that, the certain applications will be uh, elevated with this manage engine with this particular mode. So this is nothing but OS level elevation. So when I do that, immediately pop up that the access has been denied because I have chosen self elevation of only allow listed application. So this is an unmanaged application. So it's asking you to a reason for it. So I'm just going to type test and request access. So the application has been requested successfully. Now let's go back again. Just refresh this. There you go. And if you see, so this is the requested application, this is SMS. And as an admin, I just go here. I can just allow listed or block listed or reject it. So these controls admin has. So this is how you achieve privilege management with the help of with the help of this functionality, and this is how you achieve advanced PEDM capabilities by using creating application groups, allow list and block list application, and associate it to a particular endpoint. And the end user, when he gain access, when he wants to launch any privileged access to an endpoint, he will have access only to that allowed applications, and other applications will be blocklisted, as you can see. So this is a typical representation. So user will be assigned with policies allow list and block list, and if the users are trying, whether it's an internal or external user, if they're trying to access the blocklisted applications, access will be denied. But with the help of application level privilege access management, if the user need access to a particular application, and if he wants to self elevate it to advanced admin privilege, you can make use of the advanced application level privilege management functionality, where the user first log in to PAM360 application using one of his primary mode of authentication. It could be Active Directory or any directory services, LDAP or Microsoft Entra ID, and then or SAML list. So, and then he goes through the secondary mode of authentication. And then once he logs into the application, he can only view the passwords, see the passwords that's been shared with him with the granular access level. And from there, he can launch connection to an endpoint in access control workflow, but he needs to raise a request and the admin has to approve it. And once done, he'll be logging into a server where only the applications allowed listed will be accessible to him. Rest of the applications will be blocked. And if he wants if he has a certain needs where he needs to run the applications in elevation mode, then with the help of this privilege elevation, the applications will be elevated to run in admin mode for a specific period of time, for a time-bound access. So this is all about the application control. I hope it would really benefit you in your organization if you are keenly looking on such functionality in your PAM. So this will definitely help. And this is the first part of the masterclass. And the next, we are going to talk about one other advanced policy controls, which will help you to strategize your zero trust principles, which is nothing but policy-based access control. So, in addition to the endpoint privilege management, I would like to discuss on policy-based access control as well. When an organization grows, managing the privileged resources, user activities gets out of control, and monitoring them, it's a very tedious process, right? So, how do you achieve? So, one of the three principles of zero trust is to identify a proper security posture. And how do you do that? Let me just tell you how you can achieve that with the help of trust scores. So by identifying the user security posture of the user device and resource trust score, by calculating their trust score with the help of predefined conditional parameters is what policy-based access control is. So by doing so, only the authorized users and devices will have privileged access to the endpoints. And if the trust code drops, PAM360 will limit the exposure to the compromised machine. And also it will prevent the lateral movement across the network. It just stopped right there. So just going to discuss about few use cases, how you can achieve it. So first step involves deploying the zero trust agents in all the endpoints in the user machine and also the endpoint. So we're going to calculate the trust score, security posture of user device, and the endpoints with the help of the scoring mechanism. And then once the agent fetches the trust code, once you know the security posture, you can just create a policy, and based on that, you can just allow the user the privilege access to the endpoints. Let's just go back to the application, and let me just show you how this actually works. So which is pretty interesting to configure too. So first step is to install the agent. So I'm just going to showcase one use case where if the user installs any blocked extension, he will no longer have access to any other applications launched from PAM360. So we were talking about the user machine itself. So this is the machine I'm going to consider. So this is a VM, and I'm going to take this machine, and this is a user machine. I have deployed user trust agent in this machine, and I'll just show you, and I have mapped it to a user guest. So here you can see the trust score of this guest account, which is 72%. Right. So now what I'm going to do is just gonna. So that is the existing trust code. I'm just gonna configure this. So user trust code parameters divided into two. One is the user activity. So this is purely based on what's happening within PAM. So it's more like a pattern. So invalid sign-in attempt. So if the user is trying to sign in, fail the sign-in a fourth time in 7 days, then the trust score has to be reduced. And non-office sign-in. So the default sign-in hours would be 2 to 8. I'm just going to switch it back to 9. And if the user is trying to sign in during the non-office hours, then the trust score can be reduced. And the next is allowed IPs. If the user is accessing from a different IP address, then the trust score will be reduced. And likewise, allowed devices, and also whether he belonged to a privileged group in PAM360. And the next is, this is a user device security posture, which includes the allowed OS version, allowed open ports, browser plugin, add-ons, applications and process and services, which you can also block list it. So for our use case, I'm just going to take plugin, which is Chrome Tana. This is the ID of the Chrome extension, and I'm going to save it here. Okay, and the next is I'm going to create a trust score for this. I'm going to add a weightage to it. So for the authentication, invalid sign-in attempts, I'm going to give 10. So this is like 100. The total score is 100. The total average will be 100. And I can give any value between 1 to 7. So for invalid sign-in attempts, I have given 10. Non-officer sign-ins 10. And user belongs to privileged group 10. So if user doesn't met any one of this criteria, the score will be reduced. Likewise, for the blocked applications, I have given 7. So if user is installing this extension, then the score will be reduced by 90. So that is how this is done. And also, you can also set up resource trust score, for which you need resource parameters. So it also involves the OS version. I'm talking about the endpoint to server the user will be accessing into. So it also have OS version, allowed ports, allowed plugins, applications, processes, and privileged resource groups. So now you have set up the parameters, you have given a weightage to it. Now the next point is you have to collaborate it. Now you need to create a policy. Go to policy, I have already created one. So I have set a condition that if the user trust score is not greater than 90, the session, these conditions, if the user trust score is not greater than 90, then these operations will not be allowed. because the conditions will not be met. So you can't launch RDP session to the endpoint. You can't do self-service privilege elevation. You can't do JIT. And if and also if he doesn't met these criteria, sorry, if he met this criteria, all these operations can be performed. If he doesn't met the criteria, then the operations will be denied. The sessions will be terminated immediately. So this is what I'm gonna showcase you. We just increase the so looks like he signed in during non-office sign-in hours. That's why the trust score has been reduced to 0. Let me just edit the policy. Here's 70. So if the score drops below 70, then he won't be able to perform any of these privileged operations. So currently his trust score is a 72, as you can see here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the blocked extension. Okay. Let's go here. This is the extension, and this is the extension ID which I added to the block list page, and I'm going to add this extension. So once it is done, just take for the agent to sync the score. Just wait for it. Yeah. So you see the score has been dropped to 54. But as an end user, I will have no idea about it, right? I just log into my machine and I just like that, I install the extension. Now what happens is, even though I have been shared with this particular machine, I won't be able to launch connection to it. So you can see the policy has been violated, so I will not be given access to this endpoint because knowingly or unknowingly, I have installed the block listed add-on. So this is how the trust score and policy-based access control works. You can also use the same case and try to picture how it happens in the endpoint. So even in the endpoint, if you have block listed any applications or extensions, and if you block any one of these applications, and if the end user once the user launches a session to the endpoint, if he's trying to install any blocked applications or blocked extensions, the session will be terminated immediately because the trust score will be dropped. So this is all about how you can strategize zero trust principle with the help of policy-based access control. You need the agents, and the agents will help you determine the security posture of the users, user devices, and the endpoints. And based on that, you can enforce policy-based access control. You can define which user need access to, and based on, I'm just trying to correlate it. So whenever you share a resource with the end user, simultaneously he will have control to that endpoint. He will launch connection to the endpoint, and only if the parameters met, he will be granted privileged access to the endpoint. And with already JIT and the application privilege management in place, he will only be given access to the specific applications. And if he is applications, and if you need to access any applications in application admin mode, with the help of just-in-time elevation, he'll be elevated to provide access to that specific application. So this is a quick recap. So in this masterclass, we have discussed the advanced PEDM controls. We started off with application control, where we whitelisted, blacklisted the application, and then we also discussed about how you can manage child processes, how you can manage unmanaged applications in your environment. Post which we also have seen how you can enforce principle of least privilege to achieve privilege elevation. And also how you can enforce just in time to allow application level access to the users in the endpoint. And then we have discussed about how you can create policy based access control to understand the security posture, and based on that you can define various policies and to define to allow controlled access to the users and also the endpoints with the help of policy based access control. And this, we have come to the end of the masterclass, and I hope this session, this masterclass will definitely benefit you. So please just don't stop here. Just go ahead and start installing the applications. Just go ahead and explore the PEDM and advanced PEDM controls that we have, and try to enforce this in your organization. This way you will be able to benefit, and you can manage the users and also the endpoints efficiently. So with this, we have come to the end, and the floor is open for questions. So if you guys have any questions, we can discuss about it.
Right. If there are no questions, we have a Gartner Peer Insights campaign going on where you can review us on Gartner Peer Insights. Right, your review will mean a lot to us. So if you are willing to review, you will also receive a $25 gift card as a token of our appreciation for your review. Right, you can give your honest review about Password Manager Pro or PAM360 on Gartner Peer Insights, and you can get a $25 gift card coming your way. Right. If there are no further questions, thank you for attending this masterclass session. We hope you had an enriching experience. Please join us for the next masterclass session. We will be updating what the session is on the masterclass page. It will most likely be on certificate lifecycle management, and it will be next month. See you there. Thank you.